Project Convergence is a large-scale experimental exercise in which we are testing both the cutting-edge technologies that are available to the British Army, but also the British Army's new conceptual threads that have come out of the land operating concept. The kill chain is a key element of the Recce Strike complex, and it's made up of the sensors, the deciders, the effectors and the sustainer.
I've been attached mostly to the Recce Strike group, deployed mostly at Reach, using our new sensors, so Gym Compact, the Parrot NAFI, integrated with ATAC and sort of like the MPU5 and Trellis networks, trying to find targets far out of the close battle and try to prosecute them before they get close to the main body of our force and get into the close. We're talking at the speed of which the machine works, so pretty much instant. It's almost autonomous from me sighting the target through a sensor, linking that straight to our communication systems, and that'll go straight back to Battle Group headquarters, so they can see what we can see at the speed that our systems can work, and not the speed that we can say things or write things down.
So we sit in the side space and the integrate space. So our job in the JAGIC, Joint Air Ground Integration Centre, is to receive feeds from all of the sensors on the ground, to prioritise those feeds and then decide what we want to do against it, whether that's to understand it or to strike it. In the JAGIC, we execute combat engagements and dynamic targeting, so specifically kinetic effect. The introduction of new technology has been fantastic to see what could be possible, and equally working across networks to pass information.
We're using a suite of ultra high frequency communications equipment focused on MPU5 and Trellisware radios with HF and SATCOM, all fusing together using ATAC as the bearer for us to manage the battle. This equipment allows us is, firstly, it stays under the threshold for electronic warfare, so we can hide our signature, so we are less visible to the enemy to move around the battle more freely. Another advantage is that we allow increased tempo by understanding where all our troops are, which also incorporates personal location information from section commander, fire team commander up to battle grade quarters, so we can coordinate fires, understanding where they are for last safe moment. Also means that the battle grade quarters is pulling a lot less information from the companies because we can understand where they are on the ground rather than having them send up to us the locations via radio. It means essentially we have a much better understanding of the battle space, which is vital when operating in an urban or a rural environment.
Two Royal Yorks Battle Group has deployed to the National Training Centre California as the UK's Robotic Autonomous Systems Battle Group to ensure that the British Army keeps up with the Five Eyes community, integrating, innovating and experimenting with robotics autonomy systems both on the ground and in the sky. You know, a platoon commander going into a room can now use a throwbot, so a robot on the ground, to snuggle forward, get eyes into the next building, or use a Black Hornet 3 to fly into that room. This proves whether it needs to go in red or green. Secondly, the ability to have loitering munitions at platoon, company and battle group level allow us to loiter those munitions to bring to bear when a track is identified by the recce screen or indeed by troops on the ground. And the power of these combinations is overwhelming the enemy, as we've seen through the last 6 missions. If you take the concept of manoeuvrability, survivability and lethality, we've broken down the battle space into a forward line of sensors, forward line of robots and a forward line of troops.
So we've been looking at methods of sustaining the soldier out in the field, so maximising their endurance. And there are a myriad of options that we can use. First up, using vehicle energy power, we've got a very quick way of harnessing that. So when we get into the vehicle, it's just a question of clicking in, and now we're charging our radio system from the vehicle. A lower level in terms of the unmanned aerial systems, we look at the drones, for example. We've been able to transport energy, almost like a jerry can of water, but a jerry can of energy, forward using USB conversions to the in-service batteries. And that just gives them that extra endurance on task.
So we're out in the Mojave Desert to test and experiment on innovative new medical kit to see how it will help us on the battlefield and to see what capabilities it will enhance what we already have. Mostly experimenting with BatDoc, which is a way of transferring patient information electronically rather than using the old casualty cards. And we've also using ProPatch to help monitor vital signs, and Smart Heart, which will take an ECG. And these systems will all talk to each other. Well, for me, especially from my experience of being in operations, the individual medic is the most important asset. So if a kit can enhance their abilities and make life easier for them and help them manage casualties better, then it's great.